You may have questions in your heart about prayer. Why am I finding it difficult to pray? Even when I make a stern decision to spend time with God, I still find it difficult to make time for it. So what's wrong? How am I going to improve my prayer life and enjoy a relationship with God? These questions show the importance of prayer in your life as a believer. You see, prayer is to the Christian as air is to the body. Prayer is the vital breath of the Christian, not the thing that makes him alive, but the evidence that he is alive. Oswald Chambers. It is one thing, however, to pray, but it is another thing to pray consistently. And the Bible admonishes us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17 to never stop praying. It says, pray without ceasing. It's like saying never stop breathing, and you wouldn't take such command lightly because your life depends on it literally. Jesus told his disciples emphatically that men ought always to pray and to never give up. Praying consistently must be your lifestyle. Whether you think your prayers are being answered or not, keep praying. The value of consistent prayer is not that he will hear us, but that we will hear him. We will get answers eventually because God never fails. You see, some people think that God doesn't like to be troubled with our constant coming and asking. But the way to trouble God is to not come at all. Battles are won or lost on the field of prayer. But even prayer can be a battle. It's not always easy to pray because of the hindrances of the flesh. And even more difficult is to pray consistently, but that is what we as believers must do. And this video is here to help you develop a consistent prayer life. And you can do so by following these steps. So we got 6 steps for you today. Number 1 is to treat prayer as the most important thing on your to-do list. Prayer is where you get the strength and direction to do all other things. So more important than anything on your to-do list should be prayer. To have a consistent and effective prayer life, you must treat prayer as the first and the most important part of your day. It should be what you do first in the morning. In most cases, one of the major reasons why people find it difficult to pray is because prayer is the last agenda on their list. But if you see prayer as what you'll do after you've done every other thing, you become too tired to pray. Martin Luther King often spent 3 hours every morning in prayer before he starts his day. And one day he was asked, "Why do you spend so long a time in prayer despite having so many things to do?" And he answered, "It is because I have so much to do that I have to spend longer time in prayer." So don't rush into your busy schedule without first tapping from the source. Number 2, have a prayer structure. Yeah, prayer is not a mechanical activity with rules and regulations. It is spiritual and should be done according to the Spirit, but the Holy Spirit likes to work with our determination and focus. Having a planned out prayer life, a place, a pattern, or a partner encourages consistency. And having a guidebook or anything you can work with will keep you accountable. If we just leave our prayer lives open and it just floats around during our schedules, we'll soon get lost amidst our activities. If you only pray when you feel like or have the time, you'll soon never have the time for prayer. But if you create a quite rigid structure and adhere to it diligently, you will develop a healthy prayer life that can withstand any change your life may experience. Number 3, be accountable. Find someone whom can be your prayer partner. You call them and ask them how their week is going, and they'll text you to make sure you had your prayer time each morning. Meet up when you can and talk about your prayer life, or just text back and forth all week. Do whatever works for you. Just find someone that you can trust and that can help you stay on track. And this is also where mentors or a spiritual guidance comes in. Someone who is more matured and seasoned in Christianity, who you trust and whose prayer life has been an inspiration to you. Learn from them and ask them to help you develop a consistent prayer life. Submit to their counsel and try to be open to them about the struggles you face in the place of prayer. It is when you keep your challenges a secret that the enemy has the chance of defeating you. You see, they'll pray for you and with you, Knowing that somebody is going to ask you about your prayer life will help you stay consistent. Number 4, write down prayers and answers. It is a discipline that is certainly not required but can be a tremendous blessing. Consider noting down your prayers. A noted prayer and answer can keep you focused when it is time to pray. God answers prayers. Look for the answers and document them. It becomes a testimony of His grace and goodness as you see your prayers being answered. It can also be a picture of His sovereign influence over your life, as you see them answered in ways that you were not expecting or wanting them to be answered. Sometimes it takes the perspective of time to see how He is working, and sometimes you may never see the reason behind certain answers on this side of heaven. But it is still comfort and joy to know that the God of the universe is listening and responding. And finally, it acts as a way to remember the grace and the power of God. Number 5, keep your prayers simple. There's no need to be gymnastic about your prayer. Just talk to God like a father. He's your father after all. Let your prayer be like having a conversation with a friend who you adore. Speak from the heart and listen in return. There's no need to sound highly spiritual or use registered words or prayer diction. Don't try to pray like somebody else or sound like them, because prayer is more about the heart than the mouth. Just relax in the confidence that God hears your prayers and will take note of every word you say or don't even say. Prayer time shouldn't be a religious routine that wears you out. It should be a pleasant experience that you have with the Father. Number 6, have a list. Having a prayer list is a good way to maintain a consistent prayer life. The way you have a shopping list on the door of your refrigerator that you update whenever you need to get something. The prayer list helps you to stay focused. It will encourage you to keep praying until one by one you tick off every request from that list. So don't stop praying until every item gets ticked off your list. And with all the trouble in the world, I doubt you ever not have any items on that list. So that list helps to keep you on your knees. Go on your way with these steps in developing a vibrant prayer life. And you may miss it at one point or the other, but don't let that discourage you. Don't forget that you're on a journey to developing a consistent prayer life. So it's not so bad if you miss it sometimes. Just make sure you try again and never give up until you build that consistent prayer life you desire. The Bible says in Romans chapter 12 verse 12, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.